If Genshin Impact left you wondering about Blue Protocol, you're not alone. ZeniMax Online Studios is still potentially making a new MMO, and Ghost of Tsushima is releasing an update allowing you to play with friends.
Let me see those armpits. Yeah.
Excuse me?
Hello everyone, my name is Solomon SK for Coffee and RPGs, where it is my goal to provide you the most value when it comes to gaming news, particularly the MMO and RPG gaming genre. With that being said, if you feel as though I have earned your subscription, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as the bell notification icon right next to it, as that would tremendously help out the channel. We do love our coffee here, so if you guys got your cup ready to go with your beverage of choice, let's go over these news articles together. Cheers to you guys. Alright everyone, so let's go ahead and take a look at a few articles from MassivelyOP.com. And the first one here is saying that ZeniMax Online Studios appears to be ramping up development for its long-speculated new MMO. And the reason for this conclusion is that ZeniMax Online Studios has posted more job listings looking for more people to round out its development team. Now, why are people speculating that this is a MMO? Well, if we take a look at another article that was published back in April, it says that ZeniMax Online Studios, or ZOS for short, was looking specifically for people with MMO dev experience as well as multi-platform know-how. They've also noted that it was going to be a brand new IP, so nothing from the Elder Scrolls or the Fallout franchises. But some of you might be thinking, well, we already know what this new title is. It's the new Starfield IP that's being developed, but that is actually under the production from Bethesda, or in this case, Bethessoft themselves. So again, brand new IP, brand new MMO potentially, and I can't wait to get more information about this game. And I know this is kind of old news, so I'll just briefly mention it here real quick. We did kind of touch upon it on our latest podcast that I do with Sir Jaziel and Kennethan every Saturdays, but it does go on to say that World of Warcraft Shadowlands is delayed, but a lot of people are actually very happy about that because they felt that it wasn't really up to par, and a lot of the players that partook in its beta said that it's nowhere near completion. So Blizzard finally listened and said, hey, we'll delete it, we'll have to break our promise. But the pre-patch is still set to arrive on October 13th, so if you want to still get your Shadowland fix in before the actual expansion comes out, you're free to do so next week. You guys do realize there's another Star Wars game out there that isn't Squadrons or Jedi Fallen Order, right? Star Wars: The Old Republic doesn't get talked about a whole lot these days, but it still does exist, and it still seems to be striving, just a little bit more now that it's on Steam. But the article does go on to say that Star Wars: The Old Republic is giving away free mini-pets in honor of Star Wars Squadrons launch. And I thought this was a great point that Justin made. And it says that the people over at BioWare, instead of feeling threatened about a new competition or Star Wars competition out there in the market, they're actually celebrating it with, again, a free mini-pet. Now, I do find this a little bit ironic because one of the reasons why Star Wars Galaxies was put offline was to help the progress of the Old Republic when it first came out. Luckily, and again I'm going off in a tangent, there is a rogue server for Star Wars Galaxy if you're curious, but you're able to get this free pet if you log into the game between October 20th and November 17th.
So,
what is it?
Later.
Now, for those of you who like MMOs but also like real-time strategy games, this is definitely going to be a treat for you. And then it says here that open beta, MMORTS Starborne announces Dissidence expansion with new map mode and historical servers. And one of the more interesting things that this article pointed out is that you're getting an expansion during early access, which is highly unusual. And again, as I stated earlier, it says that you guys are going to get new handcrafted map, new map effects, new lore, improved UI, new game mode, and new rank categories as well. But one of the more interesting things that you'll get is the historical servers, and essentially what these servers are is that it allows you to actually partake and affect the lore of the game itself. Now, the devs did mention that they probably won't mention a particular player when describing the lore, but what this does allow is that whatever action or whatever faction that you belong to and they do a particular thing within the realm of the game, politically, or giant battles that take place, significant territories lost or gained of that sorts, it will actually have an effect on how the developers will write the lore, and you guys have direct control over what they write. I personally think that's really awesome, particularly for the people who actually love to roleplay in these type of games. I feel as though roleplayers don't get as much acknowledgement as they should these days, because I still feel like there's a portion of them that actually contribute to the lore and the immersion of the game itself.
I have need of your skills.
Come now.
But not against me.
Oh, who's that?
And really quick, if you're into anniversaries and birthday celebrations, chances are you might be playing one of these games. And it goes on to say that Gamigo, or Gamigo, depending on where you are, I believe, throws 20th anniversary bash for all its MMOs. And these MMOs include Trove, ArchAge, Fiesta Online, Aurora Kingdom, Rift, Defiance, Twin Saga, Eden Eternal, and Echo of Soul. I do find it interesting that ArchAge Unchained isn't on that list, but I'm not exactly sure why that is. I'm not going to go over each individual celebration for each individual game, that'll just take way too long, but I definitely will have this article down in the pinned comment section below if you want to take a closer look at some of the festivities for each individual MMO. And lastly, from massivelyop.com, Survival MMO Stars End zooms into open beta with redesigned planet environments. One of the reasons why I love doing what I do is to be able to discover various MMOs and RPGs out there in the market that I've never heard of, and this is definitely one of them. And as always, I have the trailer playing right now, and it looks like a game that seems to be developed by a small indie team, but that's not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion. It definitely seems to have more of a polish, more so than some of the other development teams out there, especially if they are a 1 or 2 person group. But the article does go on to say that the update includes game optimization, or engine optimization, excuse me, a resource balancing, new terrain features, a rework for melee and hand-to-hand combat, sneaking, some UI tweaks as well. And the game is currently on Steam for $15. The original plan was to stay in early access for a full year until the launch date of 2022. So we still got a long ways before this game gets fleshed out, but it's sort of the way things go if you don't have a AAA budget, unfortunately.
こうするでな。うっしゃ。
And for our next article, we go on over to hitc.com, and the headline here reads, Blue Protocol release date. When does the MMORPG come out internationally? And I thought this was a really good article to cover because we had the release of Genshin Impact to tremendous success actually, but that left a lot of players wondering about Blue Protocol because the similarities are actually pretty big. But the article does continue on to say that the beta did bring in an upwards of 100,000 players, which is a pretty significant number, and that at the time of writing, Blue Protocol is expected to be released in Japan in 2021, but more accurate release date has not been revealed. Matter of fact, over at MMORPG.com, it currently lists the game as having a release date of December 31st of 2020, but they go on to say that that's just the placeholder for now and that isn't the actual date. So again, take everything with a grain of salt. A lot of salt actually, because again, nothing is substantiated unfortunately, but there is speculation saying that it will release in Japan in 2021 with an international release of late 2021 or early 2022. You know what, which is fine. I mean, with all these delays that we've been having, it kind of allows me to space my gameplay and content creating for games a lot better in my opinion. And also, again, I think players are definitely happier if the game is delayed so that we get a more polished version instead of a broken, you know, piece of trash that nobody wants to play, and unfortunately we do get a lot of those type of games, unfortunately. And speaking of Genshin Impact, we go on over to gamesradar.com for a few articles, and it says Genshin Impact downloads on mobile hits 17 million in its first 4 days. And again, this is just for the mobile platform, and I'm really happy for the success of this game, not because of the game itself, but because of what it did in terms of its platform availability. If you didn't know already, there's a lot of companies out there that are developing games, but they are shifting towards the mobile market, unfortunately, in my opinion. A lot of these games tend to be a huge cash grab and lots of pay-to-win features, more so than some of the MMOs that are being developed for consoles and the PC platform. But the people over at MiHoYo Games decided to make a game for both the PC and the mobile markets and allowing them to be cross-platform, with the exception of the PlayStation 4, unfortunately. But in my opinion, that's a pretty awesome compromise, considering I'm not a fan of the mobile market right now. I'd rather play a really awesome game on the PC. Matter of fact, I do plan on making a dedicated video why Genshin Impact is an important release, and I'll have that episode ready by the end of this week, so stay tuned for that. And in their next article, it says Minecraft Dungeons crossplay support announced. And if you don't know anything about this game, yes, it is based on Minecraft, but this is more so of their isometric RPG aspect of the game. And even though there is another DLC slated for this game, the crossplay aspect of the game will be free in an update that will be released later this year, and it will bring together the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch player bases together for some dungeon delving cooperation.
Come on over here.
Come on over here. No, you flipped me off. Come on, coward. No. Come on. You're not an intellectual. You're a fake and a fraud.
Next, let's go ahead and cover some of the articles from Gematsu.com. And the first one here says, Ghost of Tsushima version 1.1 update launches October 16th, adds Legends Online co-op multiplayer mode, new game plus, and more. In my opinion, this is DLC level updates that the fans are getting, but you guys are getting this for free, which is really awesome, which I really wish this would come out for the PC, but anyways. So Ghost of Tsushima Legends will include 2-player story missions and 4-player survival missions, as well as a raid that will be released in a few weeks following the launch. And what's really cool is that they actually added classes to the game. So you'll be able to pick between 4 classes, each one with their own unique advantages. And the classes are the Samurai, the Hunter, the Ronin, and the Assassin. So the Samurai will play more like your typical point-blank tank class. The Hunter obviously will be at range DPS, but play more as a sniper. The Ronin in this case has the ability to revive players, so it'll probably more often than not play as a healer class of sorts. And the Assassin, again, is going to play more like your stereotypical rogue or thief class with massive single player spike damage. And for me, one of the more interesting modes that they have is called survival missions, and this plays very similarly to the Horde mode in the Gears of War series. And here you fight off waves of enemies while defending different locations in Tsushima.
What is this guy doing right now? What is happening, boys?
And in their next article, it says that Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access details races, subraces, and classes. And if you didn't know already, Early Access for this game will be available on Steam, GOG, and Stadia on October 6th. You won't get the full game, however, you will get, I believe, the first chapter or the first act or something like that, which will provide around 25 hours of content. And if you scroll through the article, it does mention some of the races that you can choose, which includes Human, the Githyankai, or sorry, I don't know really much any of the lore of Baldur's Gate, but it does include elf and half elf and whatnot, so definitely take a read if this is something that you're interested in. And speaking of more Baldur's Gate news, we have one here from Destructoid.com, and it says Baldur's Gate 3 will have cross-save and cross-play, but you'll need to make a Larian account to do it. And it goes on to say that your account will be how we facilitate cross-saves for Baldur's Gate 3 across Steam, Stadia, and GOG, as well as potential future platforms. So planning for the future is always definitely a good thing, especially now that we're getting the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S in the future. And next we got one article from PCGamer.com, and it says here that Godfall won't be a live service game, but you'll have to be online in order to play it. But there is a slight confusion to this. I always thought that this game would be a looter shooter, and typically looter shooters have to be online because there is a certain aspect of cash shops that need to be utilized in order for the game to make money. But again, one of the benefits for this particular looter shooter or looter slasher in this case is that there's no cash shop. But then again, if you take away the cash shop, but also some of the online aspects that other looter shooter has, then is it really a looter shooter? I don't know, but in this case it doesn't seem to be. But at that same token, I would actually consider what CD Projekt Red does with their game. Actually, matter of fact, a lot of their games or none of their games actually have any DRM in it, and that therefore makes them one of the most beloved companies in the industry right now because they're pretty much very, I guess, libertarian about what they do with their games. So take that for what you will. And that concludes today's episode of MMO and RPG Updates. I really hope that I've earned your subscription in today's episode. If so, again, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as the bell notification icon right next to it. As I said in previous episodes, it's definitely a dream of mine to become partnered with YouTube, and that requires me to have 1,000 subscribers, and I'm definitely on my way of getting there. You know, as they say, one foot in front of the other. So for those of you who already subscribed and supported the channel, I humbly and just absolutely thank you for your support. It really means a lot to me. But anyways, everyone, I will finally let you guys go. Hope you guys have a blessed night, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers again, everyone.